Welcome to the 243 Masterclass. Welcome to the 243 Masterclass. And the theme for today's event is actually how to build yourself and then grow your business. So what we thought about was that in many instances, there's this tendency of people just, how can I put it? So there's two aspects. Society now has everybody going on saying that, you know, you need to get started with your business, you need to start with what you have, you need to start where you are, and you need to grow. But most of the time, people find themselves not necessarily equipped with the right tool for them to first start properly and grow. There's two important aspects that we thought that would be really necessary for us to be able to engage, debate on, and really learn from each other, but also just see some of the case studies that have actually been applicable in other places that really assist people to navigate that space properly. I'm sure many people that have started the business, probably not necessarily having been on a corporate space for the longest time, find themselves not necessarily knowing how to navigate all of that specifically. And in many cases, people find themselves working for too long in the informal that when they need to actually formalize things, they really don't know how to start. They really don't know where to go. And then after that, you know, but we find ourselves still having to learn something new. And I believe that as educating ourselves, learning from each other allow us to build ourselves and grow our business. So today's event is really just about that. We need to, you know, when you're talking about, you know, building yourself, so you have the aspect that you need to do of yourself as a person, because your emotion, the way you see things, the way you see society, and how you handle situation has a big impact on the business decision that you actually make. And the other part of building yourself is you learning and getting the right tool in order to make informed decision. And then you get to a point to actually start deciding, okay, what do I need to do to grow? What do I need to go to get money? Where do I go to get money? How do I actually ask for money for me to be able to grow my business? So I'm not going to take much of the time, and we're going to get started with Kriss Mukenge. And if you can actually assist us by giving a little bit of an introduction in terms of a little bit about himself, so that we actually get started with the first presentation. Can you guys give a clap of
I want to thank Bob once more for the initiative that has been taken. It's actually awesome to be part of this community and to share this with you. Next slide, please. And so that is the basis. I think it's the foundation for everything that we'll talk about yourself. The Trinity, the human Trinity. The first point is that we are spiritual beings with two bodies. Right? And this is important because you cannot begin to work with something you don't understand. How do you build yourself if you don't understand yourself? So, what does that mean? That we're essentially spirits, and that we have two bodies. Does that sound strange to anybody? No? No? Who can explain that in other words? I want to get your perspective. If it makes sense to you. Do you want, right? So, think of your body, physical body, as a vehicle, without which you can't be here. Okay? So it's a vehicle that is visible, but that vehicle has a twin, and that twin is called the soul. It's invisible. Think of it also as a body. The soul, and I'm giving the concept of body because these terminologies can be confusing. Just think of yourself as wearing two suits. One is visible, the other one is invisible. But the mystery is all of them become part of you. That's why it's a trinity. We have other systems that that are within the soul. It's they're like energy centers, right? The energy centers that are within the soul. So what does that mean? You have a mind, okay, up here, you're thinking, it's energy working. You have desires. You have emotions. You have instincts. You have a sense of identity. You have drives. All of these energy work together, just like in the body, to create the inner body.
I need to pray and so on and so forth. And most of the time when things are going fine, we enjoy life. We're more on the physical. Yeah. I need a new suit. You know, you don't think that you're getting to pray more. So that's how I can play.
Very important what you said. And again, what you also say, what's your name?
Robbie.
Robbie.
Yes.
What Robbie said, and what Willy said is important, because when you come into his comment, when you're sleeping, you're not aware of your body so much, right? Actually, you're not. And your mind stops working, all the stuff that, you're not at all, that thing that goes on in your, it stops. And so perhaps at those moments that awareness comes in. And some people will tell you that that's when they get some insights, dreams, visions, revelation, I don't know how you call it. It's because all of this stuff that we think is us just relaxes a little bit and gives room for you to come through. And what Willy says is that there are moments of shock that get you out of that. And you realize, well, you know what, with my mind is not everything. I can't do everything with my mind. And it's like moments that get you out of that awareness. I just want us to, what I suggest to you is, if you feel somehow lost or you're not too sure, I say stop. Stop what? Everything. Really? Yeah, stop everything. If you can't afford just a weekend, don't do anything. In moments of your life, when you will feel that there are clouds, when it's not clear, stop. Just for a bit. I value most in life. Just 3 things. If you want even 2, what do I value most? Ask these questions to you. And don't stop until you get the answer. If I died right now, what would I regret the most? If it was the end of your life, Armel. Now, you died, boom. If there was just one thing, no, I'm not wishing.
No, I have an answer.
If you just had one thing to do, what would it be? Right? And that's very important. If you died, you just dropped dead now. Because you could have a heart attack, technically.
So, distracted with everyday life, right? Sorry, I'm stealing your time.
No.
You know, if we talk about Christianity, God breathed life into the body. Where you now talk about the soul. The body is a vessel that we need to exist on this earth. So your soul is what you are. I really do understand that. So if we can always just almost tap into it, because when you get stressed, I do this all the time, I feel like I'm unraveling. I picture something being
on that one.
dismantled.
Sorry to interrupt. The soul, spirit, soul, to what you want to achieve. I'm going to say that again. I say that you are the biggest obstacle to what you want to achieve. Not other people, not circumstances, not lack of finance, not lack of funding, right? You are the biggest obstacle. And when I say get out of the way, it means is help your dream, become a channel rather than an obstacle.
Wanna start this business, start an app or an application or whatever, without really understanding what you're trying to do or giving the solution. It's actually touch a little bit what Kriss said earlier, is to start with why, and why you're trying to grow this business, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of people that I met in various industries in position, and we're having a chat, I'm like, okay, you have this successful business, it's working, but why did you start this in the first place? And most of the time is money. I want money, I want so much money. Even now, when Kriss asked, what are you under for? I was telling her I want money. And then he said this was the wrong answer. I was like, oh, maybe I need to dig deeper, you know? And I think with introspection, I came to a realization now, so thanks to Kriss, is that what I feel I'm looking for is not really money, because there's never enough of it. You know, you can be a billionaire and this guy they want more and whatever. What I feel like I'm looking for really in my life is financial freedom, you know, the ability to switch off and disappear, do whatever I like to do. It can be spending the whole day with Simon, my friend, or Armel, whatever, and do that. And then my experience is that the minute you're in a market, for some reason, and of course we can talk about intent, focus, and intention, and all those kind of things, the market some way to direct you. And you fix your business plan or your business model, whatever you want to call it, as you go. You know, there are people who tell you he's doing IT now, but he's starting in a garage and he's selling beers. And then you meet another guy like, who can do this, and there it goes. You know, we have different stories like that. So I'll give a bit of a story about myself, and maybe you guys relate more how I came to that conclusion. And one day I had a revelation in traffic. Really been driving traffic, it's horrible. So I was like, I need to do better with my life. So I feel I collected that day to come to you. And I was like, what do I do? And then we had a terrible fight with my manager that day because he wanted to steal my commission. That's what's important for this meeting. And I was like, I resigned. And I wrote that letter. We just got something there. I wrote that to resign the letter. And I get home, she's like, you look upset, what happened? I'm like, I don't have a job anymore. And she was like, okay, we just got there, we can resign, have a job, what do we do next? I was like, okay, I did 3 months, and then I'll figure it out. I found a tennis coach, I was playing tennis the whole day for 3 months. And I was like, what do I do next? And this guy took our pictures, and like all photographers disappeared for 6 months. Then he came to give us the pictures. And I was like, where have you been? Like, we're waiting for these pictures. He's like, no, we're fixing them. We took 1,000 pictures. It was a huge wedding. We're to edit them. He's like, what do you do now? I'm like, I don't have a job. He's like, okay, but we can work together. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So we found a place in Hamburg, 204, you remember? Priscillia will remember. We started working together. So we're good hand at the time. But what connected me to him is that he understood his why. Because I asked him, like, what's your story? And this guy, actually we're meeting just now, the board meeting. The company is doing fantastic. Because Armel was following us every 3 months, or in the books, do you guys manage money properly? So we had to put that kind of structure in place. So it pushed us in a position to think like a proper business, you know? Because the mistake to make is you can have any idea and I buy from you whatever you're studying. And then like Bob was saying, you go on your app, you know, buy airtime, you go to your business, you take $5 but it's just $5, you know. But the mistake is that it becomes an habit, and then your business goes down. And you don't understand why, you don't have customers anymore. There are things like prospects, to find clients, to have that relationship, and so on and so forth. And my biggest realization is that we all have different talents. There's a myth that I think we need to debunk completely in the entrepreneurship world, is the myth of self-made. You know, it's cool to say I'm self-made, you know, doing it from down up. But for me, it's completely impossible. You always need at some point someone who has a different skill set. You know, for example, I'm terrible in operations. You know, if you go me with systems and things to do on time, like I can't perform that. However, you give me a list of clients, they don't want to buy from you, you tell me, find this guy, convince them to buy. I'll make sure the money leaves the pockets and it's in the bank account. That's what I can do. You know, and there are people who are different as well, and so on and so forth. It comes to the story of talent and gifts. And that's more or less my introduction. So we came back to the mind. So I was laughing when you were talking about the mind. I think it all starts there. You know, as entrepreneurs, you know, we're already very driven people, and I think when we have an idea, some are more on the left side, which is very logical. Some are more emotional brain. I think it's important to do a self-assessment and find the balance between the two. If you naturally gifted on one side, work on the other side, to actually equate the problem. I'll give you an example. Because when I got here, he told me that like the facilities, you guys have nice offices. 2 years ago, when we decided to come here, we sort of remember, we're in a small tiny studio in Hamburg. And we're growing so much, at some point we started having very good clients, like all this kind of thing and stuff. So every time they want to come to our office for a meeting, we say, no, we'll come to you. Because our offices were like completely disaster. Until I remember, he's asking me, you wanted some flowers. I was like, what do you want a flower for? He's like, no, because I'm a very creative guy. I need a flower in this office, so I went to Mr. Price, bought some decorative flowers for him. He wanted a cactus, if I remember correctly. So, there's this guy, Simon Sinek, trade recorder, who wrote a book on why a lot of people have read this book probably. He said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. You know? Because in this day and age, if you want a car, you have how many brands, but you drive whatever car you drive, you know why you drive that car. So that element is extremely important. It's a competitive advantage, a differentiator. And sometimes price is not the differentiator. Most of the time, in my humble opinion, people will buy sometimes from you because you're actually a good salesperson. No, not because you have a good product. No, but because they can connect and relate to you. You know, and that's extremely important. So why you're doing it is very, very important. You have key partners. I think it's extremely important when you're starting a business to understand who are the people that will help me perform. The problem to believe that you actually self-made, that you don't need anyone, is that trap, the trap of the self-made. Okay. For example, for me, key partners in the story of Flashing Life or whatever will be within Armel company, because they allow us to unleash our creativity and so on and so forth. And key activities is, of course, whatever you do. Resources can be displayed as the office space that we have. If, for example, you're doing a service where you actually doing your food distribution, you need probably a car or packing. It's anything that helps you get to wherever you're doing. Okay? The value proposition, I think we'll cover that extensively. Customer relationship, they even put an art to it. It's extremely important. This is a make or break deal to any business. Customer segment, that's where a lot of people miss the plot. You have to segment in different tiers your customers. You need to understand that not all customers are equal. The revenue stream is the bottom line. You have cost structure here that actually, so what you have to do basically is to separate the two. And the difference is what profit is in your pocket. If you have a very high cost structure in terms of your expense, your rent, your salaries, and everything else, your revenue stream will just shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink. So you have to lower that line as soon as possible to remain that gap. That's a very tough exercise to do, especially when you're a small business and you're growing. But be frugal and very lenient in a way that do not. Sometimes I hear people start a business and ask them randomly, how does the business go? And they'll tell me, yeah, I'm busy building a website and I want a fancy office. You know, you don't even need that in the beginning. Sometimes you need to start in your garage because you're gonna kill the cost and increase and sales. As much as we all want great things for our companies, I think that's extremely important to get as we grow. Then I was laughing at me. He's like, what do you guys do the whole day? Because I'll come home, she asked me, did you sell something today? Because for almost 8 months, we didn't have one customer. But I'll be writing the whole day. And I come home tired, she's like, qu'est-ce que tu as vendu aujourd'hui? Je dis rien et tout, mais comment? Qu'est-ce qui se passe en fait? Je dis, mais on est en réflexion. So I can testify that it works. It's extremely important. I tell you, revenue stream is extremely important, bottom line. I have no guarantee that the first year we will replace 10 people, but we have all the right to dream that we can do it. You understand what I'm saying? That's why it is extremely important. And I promise you, if I can make sure this guy work together, and I get a commission of 12 hours, because now there's a hook. Maybe the first year we'll place one guy or no one. But at some point, this will make sense in the bank account. That's I believe. You understand? And now this guy's interested, and hopefully they do business together. So they're targeting mainly the mining, the company, and so on and so forth. So we'll see how this thing goes. Yeah. Please have the next slide. So.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Charlene Makita. So when I was approached to speak to you today, I really wanted to present a topic that I wish somebody presented to me when I was starting my entrepreneurship journey. And that is how to properly balance a successful business while managing a full-time job. So just in this room, who here has a full-time job and has a business on the side? So we're in the same WhatsApp group. So you guys don't have jobs, the rest of you.
No.
I really want to be like you guys.
I saw that on the video.
So during 2013 or 2015, the natural hair movement was really, really growing in South Africa. And although there were a lot of hair products on the market, there weren't a lot of hair products on the market that had really safe ingredients. And these ingredients not only were harmful for your hair, but it was also harmful for your health as well. So I identified the gap in the market because number one, there were no hair products with moringa oil in it, and also there were no hair products that were really safe. So because of my strong analytical chemistry background, I started to formulate a lot of products and share them with family and friends, and actually it worked. And that's how my business began. So you may be wondering, okay, you started your business, so why did you go to corporate? Okay. So when I started my business, I lacked a lot of business skills. I had a vision. My vision is taking Natural Aura as being one of Africa's leading hair care brands. And I couldn't start that without understanding a lot of business processes, systems, and I knew that going to corporate, I was going to learn all of that and incorporate all of those knowledge into my current business. One of our major milestones was partnering with Xander. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Xander. And I can officially announce, really excited, I'm actually announcing this for the first time, so I can officially announce we are going to be in Click stores here in So this is 5 tips to grow your business while running a full-time job. So that's O2AIT is actually an acronym I came up by myself. Please be proud of me. O2AIT.
Systems.
O2AIT is optimize, outsource, automate, invest, and lastly, take care of yourself. So optimize. Optimize in terms of your time. You really need to get clear about your goal. And you also need to be clear about your business idea. Are you treating it as a hobby, something that you're working on, putting on the side, or are you treating your business as an actual business? And also, you need clarity on your goals. If you have clarity on your goals, you can reverse engineer that into objectives that you can achieve. And also you can break down your goals into manageable steps and tasks. And ask yourself, what do I want to achieve today? What do I want to achieve in a month? What do I want to achieve in a year? So planning is extremely important. Okay. Tip number 2 is outsourcing. So I actually came across the study, which is actually really scary, but it says 45% of entrepreneurs are extremely stressed, and a high cause of death is actually related to stress. I don't know about you, but that can just scare anybody. So this just shows that it's really, really important. We have a lot of deadlines at work, and we're still trying to build and grow our business. So that can bring a lot of stress. So it's really important to outsource some of your activities to professionals that assist you. And the benefits of that is that it increases efficiency, it keeps costs under control, so you can focus on the parts of the business that actually make your business grow, and parts of the business that you can actually enjoy. Tip number 3 is automation. So this was definitely a game changer for my company because I could communicate efficiently with my customers and also get leads, but I wasn't fully involved, I'm not fully involved in that process. So for instance, if a customer signs into a newsletter, I have a series of emails that is already planned that I am communicating with them either every day or every month or every year. So I'm away from that operation and it's streamlined essentially. So tip number 4 is invest in your business as well as yourself. So it is beneficial that you do have a day job because you can essentially invest your capital in your business and have your day-to-day running of your business, and also think of your job as an angel investor for your business as well. Okay. And lastly, tip number 5 is take care of yourself. So there's always a trend of mental health and taking care of yourself, and this is really important. We have a lot of deadlines at work, we have a lot of KPIs to meet, and we have assigned businesses and other responsibilities at home. So your health is wealth. And to avoid burnout, you can get enough sleep, eat healthy, exercise, and I know Kriss mentioned a lot about the body and taking care of your body, so it's extremely, extremely important. And don't forget to treat yourself as well.
What were some of the things that you outsourced? And this I'm just curious, because I know you gave some of the examples for automation.
Okay, outsourcing, I outsource to contract manufacturers. I produce my products and package my products as well, so I can focus on the day-to-day runnings of the business.
Quickly, I wanted to find out, I actually have a couple of questions, 3 to be specific. First question is, how big is your team? How have you scaled? And at what point did you, in the growth of your business, did you say that at this time now I need to expand and I need to have more people helping me expand? And how do you decide what products to add to your offering? Whichever you feel comfortable with.
Okay, how did I add people to my business?
Yeah.
Currently at the moment, so we're in the process, of course, of scaling up, and one of the requirements from Kriss is actually having different people with different roles in your business. So yeah, we managed to get different employees, different contract manufacturers. Actually, the person who used to manufacture Portuguese products is going to manufacture mine. So it really is, again, your vision and understanding where you're wanting to go. I can't be a solopreneur anymore because now I'm scaling up and going to Kriss. So it really is about your vision and opportunities that present itself to allow you to scale up as well.
Any company is to make money. That's the ultimate goal. If you're running a company and you're not making money, you really need to do a retrospective and look at yourself. What is it that you're doing that's not working? Otherwise, it's just a hobby, right? And in as much as there's 3 layers to it: operational, managerial, strategic, a 4th one being tactical, but the managerial part generally is where a lot of things tends to start. That's the vertex, controlling all the others. And on the managerial side, the focus has to be on the finance, the personnel, the system, and business development. At any point, should you have any one of these missing, your business will not better. Forget it. So the focus is, as you embark and as you're running the company, it should be the 4 fundamentals that you're reviewing with your team on a regular basis. I think that's it. I had a video, but I knew there's no sound.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to chat to you guys about your financial planning. So I am Priscillia Bokoko, and I'm a financial planner. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about who I am, brief background, and also what it is exactly that I do and how I can assist you on not just personal finances, but also with regards to business finances on corporate level. What I've realized, sadly, with a lot of the people that I sit in front of is that they are so quick to insure their cars, but they don't even insure themselves. And we've got businesses, we work in companies, if I were to ask you personally, what are your assets? What are your biggest assets? What would you to say? Yes, thank you, Armel. Yourself. You are your biggest asset. So why are you not insuring yourself? Are you certain that if you were to pass away yesterday, that the people who depend on you financially would be sorted? If you were to become disabled and you would lose your ability to earn your specific income in the occupation that you work, what would happen to you? Who would you rely on financially? Are you certain that what you've worked so hard to build up in terms of wealth will last you up until you retire? How long will that money that you've put in bank accounts last you if you don't have anything in place?
Director of a business that sells money, and I use the word sell money because we lend money so that we can make money, so we sell money. And also along the journey, we had to raise money, and we've also helped a lot of businesses raise money. Now, there's three things that I think is key and you must know, and it's not, a lot of the times when people think about raising money, they think that, you know, I've done my business for 2-3 years, when I get to October, I'm going to start the capital raising journey. I don't think it works like that. So you must remember that your capital raising journey must start from the time you start your business. It's just at which point do you just pull that trigger or do you pull that lever? Now, for me, there's three things that I'm going to speak about that are key that you need to know from the time you start your business to when you feel like you're at the point where you're going to raise the money. The first one is sales. Sales, and it's a talent or a skill that I undermined from the time I actually started working. It's only when I started reflecting on it is that my whole sort of career I've been selling so that we can sort of grow. The second thing is record keeping. So record keeping from the time you start also becomes key. And I'll show you some case studies and some of the work we did for ourselves and some of the guys we assisted on how those things helped. And then the third thing that a lot of businesses have done wrong, and I've seen, is you need to be able to speak annual financial statements. It's a language. And it's not a complex language, it's actually an easy language. Just to give you context, I've never studied finance. I'm actually I studied law, but I found myself here and then what I know, I just sort of know through the time. So, to give you context, I started at the group in 2014. It's an investment banking sort of business. See us as a smaller version of a JP Morgan. What was key for us, because his goal was, I want us to become the standard bank, but for small businesses. So you're starting with 2 now, but you need to think, you need to get to a point where we have billions of money that we're going to effectively sell. Now, he gives me the product, which is a 2 million rand, and he says, find people to sell it to. So you sort of start scrambling, and the idea becomes, where can I find businesses that literally only need between 50 and 100,000 rand? If I can do 20 of those transactions, I have enough sales, and I needed to get someone in my team that would be good at record keeping, so I suck at sort of documentation and stuff like that. So I got somebody in my team to say, listen, you have to be my record keeper. So for every sort of loan or deal we do out, you need to document, record, its managed performance. If we run about 20 of those deals at 100,000 rand a piece, I would have used up the 2 million. Then I would have had sales, would have had my records kept, and I can go look to raise more money so that we can have more products to sell. Now, okay, we've sort of spent 2 million rand. Let's go raise additional capital. So from 2 million, we shoot for 100 million. We go to the guys, we said, listen, we've got sales, we've sold 2 million rand worth of money, we've got records. Here's sort of the records, here's sort of the money. And then we want to 100 million rand. And the guy, he sort of laughs, he said, you haven't sold enough. Yeah, sure, your records are good, but you don't have systems enough in place to handle 100 million. That also becomes key when you're looking to raise capital. So records, sales records, systems in place. And he said, no, it's not a good time. You guys sort of don't have it, so there we go. And then we effectively then took the lessons from that 2 million to turn the business around and say, how about instead we target big companies and we tell them, listen, you guys have budgets, you have suppliers in your supply chain that struggle, we have sort of the expertise and professionals where we could help turn your businesses around, and then you can fund your businesses because it's your money, and then you just pay us a service fee, right? So yeah, sure. So we did that for about 5-6 years or so. What was key was from this point, the sales we did was not with our own money, with other businesses' money, but we were able to grow the sales, and the records became a lot heavier now. So when you fast forward 3 years, you go back to the same entity, you say, listen guys, you rejected us about 3 years ago, we were on 2 million rand, maybe 8 transactions. We're now sitting at, I think at the time it was 68 million, maybe 40 transactions. Here's the systems, systems are in place, records were a lot better. And they say, yeah, sure, we'll give you guys, I think at that time we asked for 75. The guy says, no, we'll give you guys 150. But whatever, sort of financial and prudential reasons they had, we kept it at 75. So your funding is for two purposes, scale and create economies. And in various other businesses, I'll give flashing lights example. When I was working with assisting them, of the 3 things I spoke about, right? So sales, record keeping, and knowing how to speak the language of financial statements. They had sales because they were selling wedding photography. So they had sales for several years. Their record keeping was crap. I mean, it existed, but so the thing is, it has to exist, because even if it's crap, you can fix it, but it has to exist. So it existed, and then the CEO of Fekku at the time did not know how to speak financial statements. Every meeting he was, wait, I'll call the accountant, he delays. And I'll show you guys an example when I say how to speak financial statements. It's not as complicated as it seems. But the thing that made it easy for them, they had the most important thing. They had sales that was actually done. So because of that, everything else you could sort of fix and package them to get them ready.
The founder and CEO of Koboha, which is actually based in Congo and South Africa. Congo. Now that we can continue.
Okay. So I'm the founder of Koboha, which is an accelerator of startups based in Kinshasa. So we provide full support to entrepreneurs, startups, like management, coaching, strategy, marketing strategy, communication, everything that a company needs. So we support a startup from the beginning to raise money. Donc j'ai lancé ma première compagnie, en fait, qui est une agence de publicité de production, parce que c'est des études que j'ai fait. Et cette compagnie existe jusqu'à aujourd'hui. Et j'ai lancé plusieurs projets. Et je me suis rendu compte que, j'ai lancé plusieurs projets et j'ai vécu beaucoup d'échecs. Et je me suis rendu compte en fait que les échecs que j'avais vécus n'étaient pas forcément dus au fait que je n'avais pas de l'expérience, ou je n'avais pas de formation dans ces domaines-là, mais c'était dû à l'environnement. Et c'est là qu'est née l'idée de Koboha, de créer un environnement qui va permettre en fait aux porteurs d'idées, aux jeunes qui ont des idées, de trouver un environnement dans lequel ils pourront évoluer pour connaître plus de réussite que d'échecs. Donc Koboha existe maintenant depuis plus de 3 ans, on est sur la 4e année. Et au départ, en fait, ce qui s'est passé, c'est que beaucoup d'entrepreneurs disent en fait que pour réussir leur entreprise, il faut d'abord lever des fonds. De mon expérience à moi, je me rends compte en fait que lever des fonds, c'est pas forcément un problème. Il faut d'abord avoir un produit qui ait du sens et surtout qui arrive dans un marché qui a besoin d'un produit. Souvent on dit qu'un entrepreneur c'est quelqu'un qui crée un produit qui répond à un besoin. Si vous créez juste quelque chose de super, aujourd'hui on a laissé par exemple, on a un exemple, on a des problèmes d'internet, on a des problèmes d'électricité. Donc du coup, si vous commencez à investir $1 million sur l'intelligence artificielle ou je ne sais pas, la robotique, ça n'a pas trop de sens en fait. Donc les personnes qui arrivent à scale up très rapidement, c'est parce qu'ils apportent une solution dans un marché. Et ça, c'est très important aussi pour la levée de fonds. Parce que il y a une attraction, un investisseur, c'est ceux qui voient aussi, premièrement, dans un projet dans lequel tu veux investir. Il faut toujours préparer un investisseur. Et vous avez bien sûr le business plan, vous savez ce que c'est, bien sûr le produit, la démonstration du produit, et puis des documents dont l'investisseur aura besoin qui vont servir à la due diligence. Je parlais de la due diligence après. Et puis, il faut aussi, très important, la plupart des entrepreneurs qu'on accompagne, on se rend compte en fait qu'ils viennent à une phase où ils veulent lever des fonds et ils n'ont jamais valorisé leur entreprise. Valoriser son entreprise, c'est savoir, en fait, en gros, c'est dire une part de mon entreprise vaut autant. Mais comment vous voulez lever des fonds et ouvrir les parts des shares de votre entreprise si vous ne savez pas combien vaut votre entreprise? C'est très difficile de le faire quand vous n'êtes pas du domaine. Vous pouvez le faire accompagner par des spécialistes, des comptables, des experts comptables. Donc tout ça reprend la phase de préparation. Le but de cette phase, c'est vraiment donner envie à l'investisseur de se dire ok, il y a quelque chose d'intéressant dans ce business. On peut aller à la deuxième phase. C'est super important. Et aussi, il faut savoir qu'il y a plusieurs types d'investisseurs, les fonds d'investissement, les venture capital, et puis les business angels, et puis il y a aussi des sous-segmentations. C'est par exemple des groupements d'investisseurs qui vont n'investir que dans un type de projet. Donc, tout ce qui est agriculture, tech, intelligence artificielle, whatever. Donc c'est important pour vous de préalablement aller, de vous informer, de savoir dans votre région, dans votre ville, dans votre pays, quel type d'investisseurs il y a. Et si dans le domaine dans lequel je suis, il y a des investisseurs qui sont prêts à accompagner des structures pour la réalité. Et c'est super important de savoir où est-ce que vous vous situez et qui peut vous accompagner dans la phase dans laquelle vous êtes.
Number one, men.
Yes, I have been.
By the way, it's her business that actually caters for today.
Oh, thank you. We will enjoy it.
How are you doing, sir?
C'est good. Oui. Je crois que c'est la même chose.
Non.
Hi, Sidonie.
Hey,
How are you doing?
so far so good.
And how have you found the event so far?
Yeah, very great, very interesting. So,
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thanks a lot for all the valuable information you shared.
thank you.
I could relate to them because I'm going with my wife. So that's it. I can bring up kids when I start seeing that.
Amazing.
Priscilla, how have you guys found the event?
Awesome event. It's been awesome learning about what everybody else does. Really informative. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, and it's very insightful because you get to meet new and cool people such as this lovely lady.
Yes!
We learn a lot. Yeah, we do.
The food tastes like Orca cuisine.
Yes, it's Orca cuisine food. Yes.
That's amazing.
My name is Landry Mutombo.
I run Inspired Recruitment Solutions as well as Verify Me Technologies, two companies that are in the human resources space. Once again, Bob, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Now, I was asked to speak around talent management, but I think there's a view to scaling businesses. And the reason I think Bob has asked me is because we've seen exponential growth in the last 2 years in our business in the midst of COVID. And we are still growing. In fact, this financial year, we're going to double last year's revenue. We've already maxed last year's revenue. We've reached it, and we're halfway through our financial year. So
that calls for a round of applause.
So that you understand that there is a reason I'm here, but I'm not an academic. When I left school, I went straight to working. I'm a very practical, hands-on person. So everything I'm going to speak to you about today is based on my personal experiences in business. I'm full-time in my business. That is where I earn. I do over 12 people, and we're looking to increase that number soon. So there is something in what I have to say today if you're prepared to listen. Bob asked me to give some material. I didn't bring any material, but I want to put it out there that anyone in the room who wants to spend some time with me, you are welcome to come to my office. I will give you an hour, 2 hours of my time to discuss your venture, whatever it is you're looking to start or to grow, and I will give you my practical experience, not book knowledge, just what I've experienced over time. Okay, let me move forward here. I don't have all right, cool. What we're going to talk about is around business, essential tools I think you need. And just on that, who in here is full-time in business, besides the guys that have spoken, the guys that haven't spoken, who is full-time in their business or looking to get into business full-time? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, cool. Then we'll talk about the talent balance. I'm in the recruitment space, so people is what I do. Sales versus delivery, whether or not you should, how much selling versus delivering of what you're selling, who you should partner with, whether to consolidate your business or expand it, and building a sustainable business. Okay, I'm gonna run through it, guys. Okay, first things first. What do you need? Guys, those that are not brave must stay in their jobs. First disclaimer, if you are not brave, you stay in your job. I've met the most incredibly smart, competent people, but they're working somewhere. And I've met people that have got no basic education, that are running multi-million-dollar companies, and that employ people that come fresh out of school, that are more capable than them. Why? Because they have heart. You need heart in business. If you don't have the bravery to get in there, stay out of it. Get your head right. I think some of the speakers spoke about this. You got to be in the right frame of mind to be in business. It's almost as if you're a little bit crazy. You're a little bit nuts. I promise you, I've grayed very much in the last 2 years. I'm actually very, my hair's really black. This is just the last 2 years, right? It's like madness being in business. It's going to stretch you. You're going to find challenges you haven't even thought about now. They're going to hit you. Right? I've experienced things I didn't think would even come my way. You got to keep learning. Somebody said it earlier that, your ability to grow yourself will directly impact on your business, and I'm going to get there. Manage your expectations. You're not going to reach the targets that you set all the time. You may exceed it, you may miss it, but you got to manage your own expectation. Use what you have, start where you are. No. Guys, you don't always need a loan from the bank. I got turned away from the banks 1,000. In fact, if I go to the bank today, they'll tell me they don't want to borrow any money. But we're going to turn over nearly 10 million rand for the financial year. And I will still not go to a bank, right? Because I hustle. You got to hustle. There are ways, there are people around you that will support you. There are resources you have access to that you don't even think about. Remember, being in business, you've got to be resourceful, right? Don't knock on the doors of banks. I'm looking forward to the day the banks come to me and say, hey, can we borrow your money? So I can say to them, remember when I was struggling? And I wanted to say to Armel, you guys are all about the numbers, the presentations. That's not how business always works. Business is a matter of the heart. There's not always science behind it. And sometimes the bankers don't understand that. You show them something. I've been building an app that I've bootstrapped from the start. It's cost me a ton of money. Nobody wants to fund it. Do I believe in it? Yes, I do. And it will succeed, right? So you don't always need, and I partnered with a Congolese developer. I found him on LinkedIn. I said to him, I have an app I need you to build for me. And I said to him, let's meet up. And I said, I have no money to pay you. But let's sign an agreement, you will own 30% of the shares of this business. We have not really made any money. It's 3 years later. He's still committed to the project. But I have somebody who's built it for me. The app is in stores. You can find it and download it. It operates today.
Verify Me.
It's called Verify Me. That's right. So the point I'm making is you do not always need to knock on doors. The resources sometimes are there for you. And I've said before, if you have the heart and you want to be in business, if you step off that ledge and you go for it, somebody said it earlier, the universe will conspire to give you success. And I've seen that happen. Are you selling yet? If you are in business, you are in sales. Finish and cloud. If you do not want to sell, you can develop the most beautiful product. If nobody is buying it, you are not in business. Right? So you need to remember that. And you must always be selling. In my company, of the 12 people that work there, 12 of them are salespeople, including me. Everyone sells in my business. We don't have any passengers. The phone rings on everyone's extension, everybody answers. We are all selling. We are chasing deals all the time. There isn't somebody that was more important than others. I'm the salesperson. Right? Even in human resources management, for those of you who studied that in business, they tell you that your competitive advantage comes from your people. Because your people can learn, they can adapt, they can create products that will give you that competitive advantage ahead of your clients. So, ahead of your competitors. You can't always do it yourself, but can you get a volunteer? True story, I had a lady, my mom's friend's friend came to see me for a job, an older gentleman who was looking for a job, and I'm in the recruitment space, so a lot of people come to see me. And I sat with him and I couldn't help him. And he said to me, I'm going to send you my daughter's CV. Sent me his daughter's CV. A day later, I called her and I interviewed her, and I couldn't afford to pay her. And she said to me, it's fine. I've got law qualifications. I'll come and work in your office. I'll do filing. I'll do anything. I just want to work. She's the highest earning person in my office today. Wow. And the biggest competitive advantage I have is her. But she started out 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I said to her I couldn't pay. She volunteered. Right? Complement your skill. Now, I'm a salesperson, so my business is very sales heavy. And I've had to bring in people to help complement my sales ability. So the balance of the people in my team are more delivery people than sales. And you need to find that balance. Don't get too many people who are like you. And yes, are you selling yet? You got to be selling and closing all the time. Can we go on to the next one? This is critical, guys. You mirror your business. In a small business, the business itself is usually a reflection of the entrepreneur. In my business, I went through a year, 2 years of struggles, nearly closing, and then I changed some things about me, up here, in here, and my business started to transform. So you have to grow yourself first. Because the challenges you're going to face in your business in the future are going to be dependent on whether you can resolve them. But that's a demand on me. My business is asking me, are you growing? Are you tough enough? You can make really tough decisions when the time comes. And when you're growing your business, you cannot skim on talent. You simply cannot. The exponential growth we've seen in our business is because we've raised the bar of the people we're hiring. And it's very counterintuitive. Because you're looking at your money and you're saying, can I afford to pay this person 25,000 Rand a month? I'm not even sure if 3 months down the line I'm going to be able to pay this person. That's the first thing you think as a business person. But I can tell you have to resist that urge,
because it's through changing your own mentality about what's possible, putting the expectation on a really expensive resource and saying, you come into my business and I have the expectation you're going to deliver. Everybody around you noticing that you are lifting the bar and it's going to continue to expand what you're doing. The only way you expand your business is through people. A loan from the bank's only going to help you so much. There's only so much marketing you can do. People will come in and they will grow your business, right? Do we have the tools? And then obviously I just mentioned that. Make sure your systems hold. And are you selling yet? You've got to sell and close. A lot of people look down on sales, actually, in the market. I love it. And in business, you are selling all the time. Can we go to the next one? Right, sales versus delivery. Now in our business, and I'm sure in your business as well, you're selling a service, then you have to deliver on that service. And in a small business, it can be tricky. I don't know how you guys do it, but when my business was small, so I would go out and I would find clients, and they would say to me, we have recruitment needs. I would need somebody to deliver on that project. And what can happen is you go out and sell, especially if you're a one-man operation. You go sell, you deliver, you get paid. So you have this wave, right? No revenue, you get paid, but you spend so much time delivering and not selling that your sales cycle is dropped again. You've got to avoid that. And that, if you're sales focused and you have somebody who's delivery focused, can help you to have a steady line, right? And be consistent. If you can't do it, leave it. In the beginning, I used to take on any job I could. And you guys know, you take on a job, you can't deliver on it, your reputation is done, right? So if you can't take on a job because you don't have the capability to do it, rather not sell something you can't get. And that's another thing that's changed. The more I have systems and people in my business that I can rely on, that I can trust to sell, that I can trust to deliver, rather, I can sell more aggressively. Because I'm selling my team back in the office. And I can say to any company, I have the best team. You can give me this project, my team will deliver. You deliver on that, they will pay you for it. This is one of my favorite books. I read it a couple of times a year. It's very, very practical in terms of the world of South Africa. And the guy says in there that everyone's trying to figure out the next best thing, the next best app. But he says, I'm in the construction industry and I still haven't found a reliable plumber. He says, if you can start a plumbing business, put it on Google, have a reliable employee to do the job, you're going to make money. You don't need to come up to reinvent the wheel, right? So that it would help if you did. Like us, we're in recruitment. There are 50,000 recruitment agencies, right? We have a lot of competitors. Companies recruit on their own. We still make money, right? Because we give good service and there's value in it and clients are coming after that value. I'm sounding like a broken record about selling and closing Mr. D there. Right, partnerships. I heard some guys speak about it. And also initially we did this where we're in recruitment, there's another company in recruitment, can we partner up or have an external party deliver? I think, Doctor, you mentioned that as well. You got to find people on a similar mission, first of all. Some people can derail you. I have personal experience with that. Right? If you're going to partner with somebody, make sure you're on the same mission. And not everyone will add value, yes. And what I don't like about partnership is losing control. I'm very controlling. And even, I think it was Armel and my sister over there that was talking about when they invest, they take some shareholding. I'm very much a control freak. I want to dictate everything, and where everything goes, I don't want to be told, right? So partnerships, if you're going to go that route, you got to give up some control of where things are going, and you've got to adapt where need be. Moving quickly is simply that if a partnership or anything isn't working, what we tend to do is we try to be nice to people and we want to work it. No, if it's not working, wield the axe today. Cut the relationship, cut your losses, move on to the next one. Okay? And be ruthless, especially in partnerships, because if a supplier, if a contractor, somebody isn't delivering what they need, that's where the heart comes in. You've got to be tough enough to say, that's it, I'm wielding the axe, I'm canning you, let's move on to the next one.